President Trump, meanwhile, lashing out at the Supreme Court after it blocked the administration's effort to repeal DACA, the Obama-era program offering protection from deportation to undocumented immigrants brought to the United States as children. The president saying that he will release a new list of conservative judges he could nominate to the court if there were a vacancy, tweeting this. The recent Supreme Court decisions, not only DACA, sanctuary cities, census, and others, tell you only one thing. We need new justices on the Supreme Court. Let's bring in Marc Thiessen, former speechwriter to President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. Marc, good morning to you. So what do you make of the president's strategy to not only go after the justices, question whether or not they like him in a tweet yesterday, but now to pitch the idea of a need for new justices?
Well, Barack Obama went after the justices in the State of the Union address with them sitting right in front of him, so Trump hasn't done that. And he's absolutely right. This raises the stakes in the 2020 election because it's clear that we don't really have a truly conservative majority on the Supreme Court. Elena Kagan is, in many cases, the Chief Justice of the United States in de facto sense. And it raises a real question for us as conservatives, which is, why are Republicans so bad at picking Supreme Court justices? If you look at the Democrats, they've nominated 4 people in the last 3 decades, Ginsburg, Breyer, Kagan, and Sotomayor. They're batting 1,000. They get almost every outcome they want from their justices. Republicans aren't batting even 500. For every Scalia, there's a Kennedy and an O'Connor. For every Thomas, there's a Souter. For every Alito, there's a John Roberts. And we need to nominate conservative justices who are going to deliver conservative outcomes.
Okay, so Lindsey Graham agrees with you. He went off last night and said he was stunned by the decision. Listen.
The DACA program created by President Obama is illegal on its face. Assuming that DACA was legal, the memo by Nielsen explaining why the administration wanted to rescind the policy was more than adequate. I think the court was arbitrary and capricious in deciding whether or not the Trump administration was arbitrary and capricious.
He said heading into this, he didn't think that the administration could lose, admitting he is eventually quite wrong. He went on to suggest that the administration can fix this pretty quickly with a memo. How do you expect the White House to proceed after this decision, Marc?
Well, what the court ruled here was that the administration didn't follow what's called the Administrative Procedures Act, which is the process by which you withdraw an executive order, or executive action in this case, not an executive order. But the problem, as Graham points out, the Obama administration didn't follow the Administrative Procedures Act in implementing DACA. So they're saying it was unlawful for Trump to withdraw it because he didn't follow the Administrative Procedures Act. But the underlying law was unlawful. The underlying order was unlawful because it also didn't follow it. So it just makes no sense. So what Trump has to go back and do is follow the Administrative Procedures Act and do it the way that the court says would be lawful. So it's just kicking this the can down the road. But this is part of a larger problem. It's not just DACA, and it's John Roberts giving the deciding vote to rewrite Obamacare and make the individual mandate a tax, which he said he wouldn't legislate from the bench. He did it. There's all sorts of cases that have come down where Roberts is, deciding outcomes and then finding a way to get avoid controversial outcomes. We need justices who have the courage of their convictions, and this is not what we're getting from John Roberts.
All right, here's the Wall Street Journal editorial board on that this morning. On DACA, Obama can, but Trump can't. To your point, Marc, the Supreme Court endorses a double regulatory standard. That piece finishes by saying it's hard to avoid the conclusion that the campaign of intimidation and threat of court packing by Senate Democrats are getting the result they want. Want to finish off with this. Amy Klobuchar has now decided to formally drop out of Joe Biden's vice presidential search, says she's backing a woman of color. Here's Amy Klobuchar.
This is a moment to put a woman of color on that ticket. And there are so many incredibly qualified women. But if you want to heal this nation right now, my party, yes, but our nation, this is sure a hell of a way to do it.
Wanted to get your reaction to that and the latest Fox News national poll on if you had to choose the president, if you were voting today, how that would pan out. It turns out Biden would pull 50% of that vote today to President Trump's 38%. Final thoughts, Mark.
Yeah, so on Klobuchar, she's making virtue out of necessity. If she thought she had a chance of being the nominee, she wouldn't be pulling out. The reason she's not going to be the nominee is because she was a Minnesota prosecutor and didn't prosecute police who killed unarmed black men. And so whether those were right decisions or wrong, there's not a chance that Joe Biden would pick her for his vice president. On the polls with Biden, national polls don't matter. You look at because we run the state by state. The election is going to be decided in a handful of swing states. Biden is leading in a lot of those swing states right now, but Hillary Clinton was leading by more at the same time in 2016, and she lost. So I'm not. And Biden's big problem is that he has a massive enthusiasm gap with the president, and so Trump voters are going to be motivated to get out there, and Biden voters are not.
That poll made a lot of headlines. Obviously, the Biden camp wanting to tout that 12-point lead, at least as it is for now. Marc Thiessen, great to have you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.